Greetings from interstellar space, everybody. My name's Scott Barley, and I'm excited to pitch Terminal Troubles, a VR border security simulation game. Terminal Troubles can best be described as like Lucas Pope's Papers, Please, but in space. Players will take on the role of a border security guard on an alien space station, with a wide variety of exotic extraterrestrial life trying their best to get past passport control. It'll be their job to let the right ones in and ensure any truly dangerous travellers are sent safely for processing. We're very excited about the use of emerging technologies, and the use of large language models in ChatGPT makes for a core and unique selling point for our game. Players will be able to bark questions at and receive answers from embodied virtual intelligences, which will massively drive engagement, enjoyment, and entertainment, especially with ChatGPT's ability to come up with some dialogue that is really out of this world. For anyone who's travelled overseas across this little blue dot, I'm sure we'll all agree that border control is stressful, absurd, and at some times a darkly comical experience. And these are the feelings we wanted to capture for our players, though of course, they'll be the ones holding all the power this time. Ultimately, players will have a simple choice before them: green button for go, red button for stop. But the combination of emerging narratives from the embodied intelligent agents and pressure to get it right will lead to some thrilling and potentially quite difficult choices from our apparent simplicity. The players will find themselves in a control booth with a seemingly infinite queue of alien life stretching out in front of them. In their booth, they'll have a set of trusty tools, including a scanner for documents, a screen for displaying critical information to look out for, and most importantly, 3 big buttons. Players will have to reach and inspect documents offered to them, as well as look at screens displaying flagged information that helps make their ultimate decision to accept or reject the alien in front of them. The ChatGPT function will be built into the blue Universal Translator button, which will allow the player, using a microphone, to ask questions of the being standing before them. The entity will then compose an answer, which may or may not contain information useful to the players making a decision. Once the player feels they have extracted everything they can from their subject, the most important choice remains to them: green or red button. If the player presses the green button, the alien moves on through security. If the player has been attentive, they will pass through the security gates safely on to their final destination. Of course, if the players let someone through that they shouldn't have, a powerful security field will vaporize the intruder in a spectacular, messy fashion that will prompt the player to turn and watch the emerging carnage. All for public safety, of course. If the player presses the red button, a tube will appear and safely vacuum transport the offending creature somewhere else for processing. I'm sure the player doesn't need to worry about what happens there if they accidentally send an innocent being to processing. After all, they'll never be seen or heard from again. Player motion is a key part of increasing the reality and affordance in VR, and we wanted to reflect that in the terminal. As you can see here, the players will have to reach out and grab the travel documents from the hands, claws, or tentacles of the aliens in front of them. Turn to their trusty document scanner and appropriately wave it under the scanning field to extract the critical information. Once they've made their decision, they get to offer a stamp of approval, which will give a decidedly final, official end to their interaction. The player goals are to correctly process as many beings as possible during their shift. The information screen in their booth will display details that may assist with their decision to accept or reject an applicant. While there will be a fail state of a traveller being wrongfully incinerated or vacuum tubed, players will not be penalised for making the wrong decision. A visible counter on their display space will merely keep track of their errors. I believe this will further enhance the absurdity and mild authoritarian feel of the border security. Another interesting challenge will be the slightly chaotic element that an AI-embodied agent with its own voice will introduce. How much will the player value what a character is saying versus what their documents say, which could lead to some very interesting and conflicted decision-making. Usually, the aim is to blend together the slightly chaotic, conflicting, and busy environment of Earth's airport security with a shiny and clean, futuristic space-age aesthetic, delivered in a low-poly, stylized virtual world. The result is an eclectic and interesting mix of bright colours in the booth and a clean white and chrome aesthetic of the area outside. The travellers themselves aim to be alien in a very over-the-top and almost pulp sci-fi fashion, uniquely strange characters that have goals and motivations as diverse as their appearances. So that's Terminal Troubles. In summary, the aim is to create an experience where deceptively simple choices and gameplay lead to the emergence of rich and complicated decision-making for our players. who get to experience the promise and potential of virtually embodied characters they can talk directly to, while the text's flaws stay conveniently hidden behind the experience's narrative protection. I certainly hope you press the green button for this game. Thank you for listening.